A lot of you watching this video must be under the notion that one should be thorough with concepts. Now, that in itself is not a wrong idea to have, but some of you take it a little too high up the notch that they need to be extremely thorough with the concepts, without which they will not even try any problems or try to answer any theory question. Now, I call this the illusion of conceptual clarity. This is a very disabling thing. It places an unnecessary limitation in a lot of students' preparation. Now, this video is for anyone who is suffering from this illusion, who thinks that I need more and more conceptual clarity. Unless I get a conceptual clarity, I will not even try problems. So for getting conceptual clarity, I need to watch more and more lectures. Let's say this is your 4th attempt or 5th attempt. You saw the classes for FR or you saw the classes for income tax 3 attempts before. Now that you feel that your concepts have been forgotten, now you feel that you need to watch classes again. So you watch the regular batch, and then now you feel like you want to watch exam oriented batch. So needing to watch lectures again and again repeatedly without doing the real work is another form of procrastination. In this video, I have something to teach you, some new thing to teach you, which is the Dunning-Kruger Effect. So let us learn what is Dunning-Kruger Effect. This effect says that for any person in any skill, when they start the new project or a new skill, right at the beginning, they feel that they are extremely overconfident and they see that this is such an easy thing to master. I don't know why all other people are taking so much of time. I am able to understand it so easily. This is such an easy field. Let's say you want to learn investing. Let's say you bought the first couple of shares and you made an immediate 20,000-30,000. You believe that investing is so easy, trading is so easy. That is mount stupid. Earlier you had some beginner's luck and you feel that entire domain itself is easy because you're overconfident and you underestimate the work that it is going to take. But the more you start learning about you are going to do research or you are going to learn in that field, your confidence will come extremely down, and at one point you will be at your lowest, thinking that I am fit for nothing, I am not meant to do this, I am not meant to learn this. And then if you still keep up with your learning, slowly again you will reach a point of mastery and your confidence will slightly keep going up and up and up. And this is called the slope of enlightenment. And at one point, let's say maybe after 2000 hours or after 3000 hours, after you have done some very good amount of work and learning, you have this plateau of sustainability. Let's say this is like the point of enlightenment. You will have a humble confidence. You will be very humble about yourself, and you will not boast that I know this much, because you have done the work. The value of despair had taught you the humility. Now that you are still skillful on the job, but your confidence is at a very measured level, you don't go around and say that I'm an expert and I'm expert. So this is called Dunning-Kruger Effect. Now, let me tie this up with how it affects your CA preparation. But before that, I have a couple of stories from my life that I have to share with you so that you understand this Dunning-Kruger effect even in a much better way. So the first story is how I wrote Substance and Form. When I started Substance and Form, I started this somewhere around March or April 2020. I listed down the chapters. I kind of was outlining what I have to do and everything. Somewhere around end of August and during September, I remember for 37 days, I wrote every morning the first 1 hour, first draft of Substance and Form. So in a matter of 37 days, I finished my first draft. So roughly around end of September, early 2020, I finished the first draft of Substance and Form. I was at the peak of my confidence because the work got over so fast. Imagine writing 80 to 90,000 words in a matter of 37 days. That's roughly 2,500 words per day. In a matter of 37 days, I finished the entire first draft. Then I started editing. That's when the real work began. I did the first round of editing. I did the second round of editing. By the time I finished my second round of revision, I was at my lowest point because I had to clear out a lot of unnecessary paragraphs. I had to rewrite a lot of sentences. I had to add a lot of points. It was taking huge mental work. Whatever work that I did in my first draft amounted to nothing compared to what I did during my first round of revision and second round of rewriting. By the end of second round, I was at my lowest point. I thought it's going to take another 1 year or another 2 years, or I might not even be able to release my book at all, because my confidence was at the lowest at that time. But somewhere around March 2021, when I finished my third round of revision, the book kind of came into shape. And then I did one more round of minor tinkering here and there. And then I launched the book in July 2021. So I had to go through this huge dip in my confidence before I found myself, okay, I'm reasonably confident now to release this book. So this is my first story of Substance and Form. I'll give you one more story now, how it is exactly happening. It is repeating right now in my life with respect to my second book. Again, I started my second book around earlier this year, around December 25, January 26. By the end of April or May 2025, I had the initial outline mapped out, and I also ended up writing the mock draft, roughly around 1,60,000-1,70,000 words. It's a huge draft. I wrote everything much faster, and because of that, my confidence was again very high, because I thought I was almost there. This draft is twice as big as Substance and Form's first draft. So my writing has been phenomenal. My writing has improved over the last 5 years. This time I am not going to have the trouble that I had in Substance and Form. This was my thought process during May 2026. That's when I started posting the 6 screenshots of word count of the first draft and outline of the book and everything. But then slowly, when I started revisiting the drafts again and again, I started to realize that I need to have revision of scope. I had to revise a lot of things. I had to include some chapters. I had to exclude some topic itself, not just paragraphs. I had to remove some chapters itself. So because of this revision of scope, my first draft itself is still not completed yet, and I'm already on the verge of my lowest point in the writing of the book. So I'm very sure that my dip is going to get even worse. I'm somewhere around here right now. So I know by the time I finish my first draft and I start doing a couple of rounds of editing, I'll be here. And then I will do the third or fourth round of editing, and slowly my confidence will come up again. The book will come into a much better shape. Then I will launch it. So this is the story of my second book so far. So any project that you take, the initial success will elevate your confidence so high, you underestimate the entire project itself. But then the further and deeper you go in that project, your confidence will start to come down, and you will reach a value of despair. And if you still keep up with the work, maybe your confidence will shoot up again. But for that, you have to keep up the work. Now let us tie all this into your scenario. Now what happens, what we assume is that, let's say you want to master amalgamation, let's say you want to master portfolio management. What we assume is that I will listen to the lecture, the teacher is teaching, I'm listening to the lecture, then I will eventually reach conceptual clarity. If it doesn't happen at the first time, I will put this on a loop and I will revisit the lectures again and again, or I will buy the classes and watch the classes again and again. So what we assume is that the teacher teaches, we listen, and only that takes us to the zone of conceptual clarity. This is what the misconception we have. So to put this in point of view of Dunning-Kruger Effect, it will be like this. This is our expectation. When you listen to classes, as the time passes, let's say the class is over, then we think that just by ending the classes, we go into sustained mastery. Or some people will think that, let's say, if it doesn't happen at the first time, they will want to buy the class for the second time, they will want to buy and watch the class for the third time, then that will take them into this sustained mastery level. But what we ignore, what we miss to notice is that what actually happens is that you listen to the lecture for the first time or second time or third time. As long as the activity is passive, that will constitute only to 20% of learning, or maximum 30% of learning. The other 80 or other 70% is something that you have to bridge purely through your trial and error. What do I mean by this? So once you have done with the classes for the first time, even if you think that the understanding that you have, the level of understanding that you have from that classes is pretty less, even if you think it's imperfect, you should start tinkering with the problems. You should start tinkering with the theory questions by yourself. Write a lot of tests by yourself. Solve the problems by yourself. Do the evaluation by yourself. Do a lot of trial and error. Do this at least for 3 rounds in each and every topic, and maybe by the end of third round you will reach conceptual clarity. We miss this trial and error part. Now let us apply this into Dunning-Kruger effect. What happens is, when you watch at the first round of classes, again your confidence will be very high. You think that you are ready for the exam straight away, but then when you actually start to get into the self-preparation part, self-learning part, your confidence will go down. Absolutely, it will go down. It will make you feel and look like as if you had not attended class at all, as if you had not paid attention at all. Your first round is going to be like this. You are going to be at your valley of despair. I call this zone the valley of despair. You're going to be so lost in confidence, so lost in life. You start to even question, what should you do next? Why did you even take up CA? Or why did you even take up UPSC? Or whatever it is. But once you complete the second round, then slowly you will start to see your confidence rising. You will start to connect a lot of patterns, connect a lot of pieces. And by the end of third round of revision, third round of trial and error, your confidence level will get high. You will reach the summit of enlightenment. I call this place the summit of enlightenment, and this is the zone of conceptual clarity. And then the learning stays at that level, and you have not overconfidence, but a reasonable level of healthy confidence, a sustained level of mastery from which your learning proceeds beyond that. Now, you cannot escape the valley of despair, so you have to burn this to your memory. No matter you get the class from the best faculty in the country, you pay the highest money to get those lectures, no matter you sit and watch the 150 hours of lecture at a stretch, you still cannot escape the valley of despair. I want to leave you with this punchline that you cannot reach the summit of enlightenment unless you crawl through the valley of despair. I would be so happy even if you take a screenshot of this, paste it on your wall, read this every morning when you try to do problems, or read this every morning when you try to read that theory paper, auditing or law, whatever. Now that you understood the reality, I want you to put this into practice straight away. If you have 30 days or 35 days to the exam, you need to know how to spend the next 30 to 35 days by implementing this Dunning-Kruger effect. So for that very purpose, I have already made a video here. Click this video, watch this video, put the same concept into practice through that video. I will see you in the next one.